If there is one thing I wish more women over 60 understood about swollen legs, stiff joints, and that feeling that the body is losing some of its bounce, it is this. There is almost never one magic food behind the answer. And there is certainly not one collagen miracle that suddenly turns back time, smooths every ache, tightens every bit of skin, and makes the swelling disappear by next Tuesday. I know that is not the flashy answer the internet loves to give, but it is the truthful one. And at this stage of life, I think truth is a form of care. Because when women in their 60s and 70s start noticing swelling around the ankles, stiffness in the knees, thinner skin, slower recovery, or that strange sense that the body just does not feel as sturdy as it once did, it is very easy to become vulnerable to dramatic promises. One broth, one powder, one supplement, one healing food. And suddenly the message becomes, this is the missing piece. But the body is usually more nuanced than that. Yes, collagen matters. Yes, connective tissue matters. Yes, protein matters. Yes, the foods you eat absolutely influence how your joints, skin, muscles, and circulation feel over time. But what matters most is not one food in isolation. It is the pattern, the overall way you nourish the body, the consistency, the support, the daily rhythm of what you eat, how you move, how you rest, and how much you are asking your body to rebuild with too little. That is the real conversation I want to have tonight. Not collagen as hype. Collagen is part of a bigger story. Because so many women are not just dealing with aging, they are dealing with years of under-eating protein, years of stress, years of poor sleep, years of moving less, years of inflammation, years of treating meals like something to survive rather than something that truly nourishes. And the body keeps track. I remember when my own body started changing in perimenopause, and I felt as though everything I used to trust had become unreliable. The sleep was broken, the anxiety was louder, the swelling came and went, my skin felt different, my joints felt different. I wanted one simple answer so badly. I wanted someone to hand me the missing piece. But what I learned, humbly, is that the body usually does not want one heroic rescue. It wants a steady pattern of care. That is still how I look at these conversations now. So let us talk about several foods that can absolutely support the body in a collagen-friendly, joint-supportive, more resilient direction. Not as miracles, as allies. The first is eggs. I think eggs are one of the most unfairly misunderstood foods of the last few decades. So many women were taught to fear them. Fear the yolk, fear the richness, fear the satisfaction. And in the process, many ended up with breakfasts that never truly fed them. Now, I am not telling every woman to eat eggs every day. Personal health context matters. Some women digest them beautifully, some do not. Some have specific medical considerations. But for many women, eggs can be a wonderfully practical food. They bring protein. They are satisfying. They are easy to build into a real breakfast. And that matters more than people realize. Because a body cannot maintain strong tissue, good recovery, or decent muscle tone on coffee and toast and good intentions. It needs real nourishment. The second food I want to mention is papaya. Now, I would never talk about one fruit as though it were magical, but I do think papaya is a lovely example of something many older adults can benefit from. It is hydrating. It is gentle for many people. It provides vitamin C, and vitamin C matters because the body uses it in the process of building and maintaining connective tissue. That is something the internet often skips over. People chase collagen foods without remembering that the body also needs the supporting nutrients that help it use what you are giving it. So I think fruits like papaya can fit beautifully into a supportive pattern, especially when digestion is a little more delicate or appetite is a little inconsistent. The third is slow-cooked poultry, especially homemade broths and soups made from bone-in or skin-on pieces. Now, this is one of those places where health advice can become silly very quickly. Some people act as though chicken skin is poison. Others act as though it is practically a medical treatment. I think the truth lives somewhere much quieter. Traditional slow-cooked poultry dishes, broths, soups, and stews can absolutely be deeply nourishing. They can provide protein, they can be soothing, and they can bring some of those gelatinous compounds people associate with connective tissue support. That is valuable, especially for older adults whose appetite is low, whose chewing is tiring, or whose digestion does better with softer, simpler foods. But I do not want anyone hearing this and deciding that a pile of deep-fried skin is suddenly a health plan. Preparation matters. The whole pattern matters. A pot of homemade soup that feels like care is a very different conversation from processed junk dressed up as collagen. The fourth food is sardines, and I think sardines deserve far more praise than they usually get. They are humble. They are not glamorous. They do not come with trendy marketing, but goodness, they are useful. They bring protein, omega-3 fats, minerals, and when eaten with the soft bones, even calcium. That makes them one of those rare foods that can support several aging-related concerns at once. For women over 60 who want to protect muscle, reduce inflammatory burden, support bones, and nourish the body more deeply, sardines can be such a wise, practical choice. Not because they are miraculous, because they are efficient, because they work hard quietly. And there is something I love about that. So many of the foods that genuinely support us are not fancy. They are simple, accessible, traditional, repeated often enough to matter. The fifth is bone broth. Now, let me say this clearly because bone broth has been turned into mythology in some corners of the wellness world. Do I think a well-made broth can be lovely? Absolutely. I think it can be comforting, hydrating, soothing, and for some women, it is an easy way to get in nourishment when larger meals feel heavy. I think it can be a wonderful base for soups and stews. I think it belongs beautifully in a supportive way of eating. But no, I do not think bone broth is an all-powerful anti-aging elixir that reverses everything from swelling to wrinkles to joint pain on its own. It is nourishment, and nourishment matters. Sometimes that quieter truth is the one people need most. The sixth is gelatin. This is another one I find genuinely useful when it is kept in its proper place. Unflavored gelatin can be an easy addition to a warm drink or homemade recipe. It can contribute some of the amino acids people are often looking for when they talk about collagen support. But again, I do not want women seeing it as a replacement for a real diet. It is an addition. And additions can help. A body that is already being cared for may respond well to little supports like that. A body running on too little food, too little protein, too little sleep, and too much stress usually needs a bigger rescue than gelatin and tea. The seventh is liver. Now, I know liver is one of those foods that divides people immediately. Some women grew up with it, some never want to see it again. Some are curious but hesitant. My view is simple. Liver is extremely nutrient dense, extremely. And for women who tolerate it well and actually enjoy it occasionally, it can absolutely be part of a deeply nourishing approach. But I will never talk about liver as though it is mandatory, and I will never make a woman feel like she is failing if she is not going to eat it. There are many ways to nourish an older body well. The goal is support, not extremes. And really, that is the heart of everything I want to say tonight. If your legs are swelling more easily, if your joints feel stiffer, if your skin seems thinner, if your recovery is slower, it may be tempting to believe there is one special collagen-rich food that will fix it. But often the real issue is that the body has been under-supported overall. Maybe protein intake has been too low. Maybe movement has quietly shrunk. Maybe circulation is not as lively because you sit for long stretches. Maybe hydration is off. Maybe sleep is poor. Maybe processed foods have crowded out the foods that truly nourish. Maybe muscle has quietly declined and everything feels less sturdy because of it. That is why I never want women chasing only the most exciting part of a health conversation. Yes, collagen supportive foods can help, but they help best inside a bigger foundation. Protein at meals, vitamin C rich fruits and vegetables, omega-3 rich foods, hydrating foods, walking, strength training, sleep, less mindless snacking on foods that inflame and undernourish, better circulation from actually using the body. This is the unglamorous truth, but it is the one that changes lives. The body likes consistency far more than it likes gimmicks. So if I were helping a woman over 60 build a more supportive, collagen-friendly way of eating, I would think less in terms of miracle foods and more in terms of patterns. A real breakfast with protein. A lunch that actually feeds you. Fish a few times a week if that suits you. Colorful produce that brings vitamin C and antioxidants. Broth-based soups and stews that feel grounding and easy to digest. Enough total protein across the day to protect muscle. Enough movement that circulation is not stagnating. Enough rest that recovery has a chance. Do you see how different that is from food fear or food hype? This is not about chasing a miracle. It is about building a life that supports the woman living inside it. And I want to say something tender here for the women who feel discouraged by how slowly the body responds now. Please do not mistake that for failure. Bodies over 60 are often more sensitive, more honest, and less forgiving of neglect than they were at 30. That is not punishment. That is information. It means the basics matter more now, not less. And honestly, I think that can be a gift, because it calls us back to what truly supports life. Real food, real movement, real rest, real care, not shiny promises. You have spent your whole life caring for others. It is time to care for yourself. So if you have been wondering whether collagen-rich foods matter, my answer is yes. They can matter, but not as isolated miracles, as part of a nourishing pattern, as part of feeding the body what it needs to maintain resilience, repair tissue as well as it can, and age with more comfort and strength. Age is just the beginning, my love. Vibrant does not have an age limit, and if your joints, legs, or skin have been asking for more support lately, I hope tonight helps you breathe a little easier. You do not need to fall for hype. You do not need to force yourself into some rigid plan. You do not need to believe your body is simply falling apart. Start with nourishment. Start with consistency. Start with one better breakfast, one better pot of soup, one more walk, one more meal that actually feeds you, one more act of steady care, because that is how the body begins to trust you again. That is how support becomes visible, and that is very often how comfort, strength, and resilience begin to return.